Okay, starting in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Okay, today is July 11th, the Oscoda Township regular board meeting. Let's call it to order at 7:02 p.m. We'll start by the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, if we could start with roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings? Here. Ms. McGuire?
Here.
Mr. Spencer? Mr. Palmer?
Here.
Mr. Sutton here. Mr. Wishbarth?
Present.
Ms. Richards?
Here. Next, we are at the agenda addition section. Do we have any agenda additions, Tammy?
I would like to remove the Hope grant that I had as a placeholder. The information that I had been waiting for has not been fully completed yet, so.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to postpone or just completely remove?
Postpone.
Okay. And then, Josh, earlier you had emailed out a revised July 12th check run.
Yes.
Okay. That just changes, again, it was on the agenda, but it does change the amount to $85,325.39. So I'll make that note for an agenda change. Okay. All right, with those two things, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the additions as presented. Support.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Sutton and support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings? Yes. Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Ms. Richards?
Yes, motion carried. Now to the first of two public comments. The first public comment, you need to fill the comment card out for, and it is for items that are on the agenda. Tammy, do we have any comment cards for the first?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. Moving on then to consent agenda. First, we have the approval of the minutes. We have the regular meeting minutes of June 27th. I had noted a couple changes to Josh. He made those changes. They were emailed out. Anybody have anything else? Okay. Then we have finance. We have payment of bills. We have the prepaids on July 5th of $76,175.30. Are there any questions or comments on those? Okay. Next is the check run from July 12th. Again, that amount changed to $85,325.39. Any comments or questions on those? All right, then we have the checking report dated June 28th. Any questions or comments on those? All right, and then last, the DWRF checking report. Anything there? All right, with that, I would take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, is there support?
Support. Sutton.
There's a motion by Ms. McGuire, support by Mr. Sutton to approve the consent agenda. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings? Yes. Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
Yes, motion carried. We do not have any subcommittee reports or project updates, correct? Okay, then moving on to the superintendent's report. First on, we have the seasonal and volunteer employee wage increase, but we're postponing that discussion.
Yes, I am still waiting for some information from the fire chief and a couple other comparable volunteer fire departments.
Okay, all right, then moving on to the request to sell township property, which is a boat.
Yes.
Okay,
Your packet contains a request to sell replaced township fire department equipment. Currently, the fire department has a 1988 Starcraft boat with a 2001 15 horsepower Mercury 4-stroke engine that was recently replaced through capital improvement. Chief McGregor would like to be able to post this through Chief David through online auction, or the township also has the option to accept the proposal in your packet from Harrisville Harbor of Refuge a municipal marina that has been provided for your review.
Okay.
I also have Lisa, the attorney, prepared a resolution for this particular item. Apparently, when we sell property, we need to do a resolution with everything. So that is also on the agenda further down. So it would be first deciding what you would like to do with the boat, and then we go to the resolution later.
Okay. Do you have any questions for Tammy? I mean, it looks like it was estimated to bring in, was it 2,500, I think, if we sold it?
So the Blue Book price, I believe, is $1,795.
Right. But then Chief David indicates, I don't think there would be a problem getting 2,500 for the package. And then Harrisville is offering $750 for the package?
Yeah. That's correct.
Right. I mean, that's obviously a little bit, more than a little bit less than. Yes, thoughts, comments? I mean, it's nice to put it into an area close by that would be, that it would be used, but,
And help a different area out.
right.
Originally, this was on the agenda last time, I was kind of in favor of selling it to Harrisville. I didn't really think we'd be able to get that much for it, but if Chief David thinks we can get 2,500, then that's considerably more than the $750 there.
Right.
And they are, I mean, they would be able to go on and bid on it if
They
they
could.
wanted to. So I think it's in the resolution, it says we're supposed to, or in our policy, we're supposed to try and get the maximum value. So I would say we should probably put it on Chief David to put it on the auction block for us.
Any other thoughts?
I agree.
I agree with that.
Great, so the action would be to pass the resolution later on, then, selling it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want action now, then, that we will act on the resolution later on, or just act on the resolution?
Well, you first have to agree to put it out for auction.
Okay, so,
And I believe, set a minimum bid.
Can you read the last thing you said? I didn't hear you.
I think you need to set a minimum if the board so chooses to do so.
I make a motion that we put the boat, motor, and trailer up for sale with a minimum bid of $2,000.
Support. Cummings.
Will the resolution have to be changed then, is that correct?
Yes, when we get to the resolution, I have already spoken to Lisa, whatever the board had decided, whether to sell it to the harbor or put it up for auction, that can be amended with the approval of the resolution.
okay. So there's a motion by Mr. Westerbarth and support by Mr. Cummings to advertise in the bid process with a minimum requirement of $2,000. Any further discussion? All right, roll call then.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Worcester?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
No.
Mr. Cummings? Yes. Mr. Sutton, no. Ms. Richards?
No.
No, so it's failed.
So it failed. I'd like to make a motion that we sell the boat as requested to our neighboring community in the amount of $750, as they indicated, I believe.
Yeah.
Support.
Okay, there's a motion by Richards, support by Ms. McGuire to approve the request as submitted by Harrisville. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wusterbarth?
No.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
No.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
Yes, motion carried. Sorry, just got to finish my notes here on this, so that later on, Josh, you don't ask me, what was that? Okay.
Don't want them in there.
All right, moving on then to the storage container purchase request for Township records.
All right. At the June 13th, 2022 regular Township Board meeting, this item was postponed awaiting further information. Recently, the Economic Improvement Director approached the new owner of the Awney Medical Center regarding retaining the current storage area and what the cost would be for leasing. Your packet contains an email from Mr. Dickerson describing the current space being utilized, which is 3,215 square feet, and the cost to lease per square foot, which would be $6 square foot gross lease on an annual basis. I would ask that the board consider allowing the EIC director and the superintendent to pursue a short-term lease agreement, approximately 2 months, through the township's attorney, as suggested by the director, with Mr. Zongfu Lee, and work to reduce the space being utilized to the best of our ability to minimize cost. So what we've done is Todd reached out to Mr. Lee. We believe after everyone goes through the records and removes anything with the retainage list, that we can start a room share, at least for now, till we can get something built for ourselves that doesn't cost a ton of money. Right now, Old Orchard Park has very minimal boxes in theirs, and they have a very large room that has about 10 boxes in it. So I believe that we can get that space, the square footage down quite a bit.
When you looked at the room, so each room that is currently being used was just measured on the inside, or was like the hall, we're paying for hallway access as well, like that whole wing?
Yes, that whole wing right there.
Okay. But none of the stuff, obviously, that where like beautification was or anything? I mean, this is just for our records, along
Right.
with the old OED office.
Well, we would combine that with, and put the
Right,
old
no, I
OED.
understand it would be
Yeah.
combined. I'm just asking for what was looked at
It
for what
was
we need
just
to.
for township records.
Okay. And they're good with, because that's not like locked out to the rest of the building, so they're fine with a different key or something? I mean,
He's completely fine with that. It's in the end of the building that they're not going to utilize for quite a while, so we're not taking up any space that they would currently be using.
and did Old Orchard Park get all the haunted house stuff out of the nursing wing?
I believe so. I think they have that giant container of roller skates left, and maybe a few other things, but everybody knew they had a time schedule.
Sorry, I monopolized the questions. Go ahead, somebody else.
So what I'm reading from this email is that we're being, we can lock in a $6 per square foot lease rate for the year, though the lease will initially begin for a duration of 2 months.
Right.
Okay. All right. That's good.
I believe this would be cheaper than what we were considering for the containers, isn't it?
Yes.
Seems like it, and a lot more user-friendly to get in and out of.
Yeah.
Guess I wasn't a big fan of containers, but.
And
Tammy,
that
how
way
much
we-
space is the DDA and EIC taking up?
Well, I do know there's a pile of garbage in there, like not garbage, but there's a pile of things that that the previous clerk went through and we need to get rid of, but it shouldn't be that much space at all.
Well, and just for clarification, there's very little DDA items in there. Most of that, I think, was brought downtown, but there's a lot of old OED stuff.
In the
So-
other room, yes.
Yeah, in the other room and still in that room from what I saw, what used to be, where Mary and I were set up. So there's still quite a few documents in there that, that aren't just, they actually have zero to do with DDA, so.
The
it was-
clerk's room is almost empty. So the clerk's room that the clerk currently uses is almost empty. So either I could share space with the clerk's office and we would have plenty of space.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that stuff can just be gone through and gotten rid of in that space that is OED. I'm just saying it's not all,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I know what you
yep.
Are there documents in there from the old OED office, though, that would be helpful with,
There could be, I mean.
Base reuse?
Yes,
Base-
there's a ton of base reuse stuff in there that has been in there
Which
for
is-
decades, so.
As we downsize the space needed, then we would readjust that lease based on the space we're using.
Definitely, definitely.
I would make a motion to approve the EIC director and the superintendent to pursue a short-term lease agreement through the township's attorney as suggested by the director with Mr. Zong Fu Lee and work to reduce the space being utilized to the best of our ability to minimize cost.
Support by Cummings.
Oh,
All right, there's a motion by Mr. Sutton and support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
yes.
Mr. Wusterbarth?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
Yes, motion carried. Moving on then to number 4, gas appropriations request for the Oscoda Township Police Department.
Okay, due to the recent increase in the cost of fuel, Chief David has requested appropriations increase in the police department's gas and oil line item. Your packet contains 3 of the most recent fuel breakdowns, with the June gas for police topping $5,567.51. This line item for 2022 was budgeted at $22,000, up $2,000 from 2021, and has recently been depleted. In order to avoid cutbacks in police patrol, I would request that the board approve appropriations in the amount of $33,000 to finish out this year's gas and oil budget for 2022.
You guys need to stop driving around. Just kidding. All right, any questions or discussion?
I just have a question on the bill. Why are we having finance charges? I mean, we should be paying this bill every month. We paid $1,173 in finance charges. I don't get that.
On that one, I didn't have that one in. When I got their invoice, it was past the date. Normally, I print that out.
Okay, so how can we set this up on a blanket that gives you and Tammy, authority, and we should, the finance charge is something we shouldn't pay. Shouldn't have to. We gotta figure this out.
Yep.
Okay.
There were 2 of them that had finance charges.
2?
Yeah. Look at page 45 of the packet.
Also, I think it's worth pointing out here, Ms. Klein, that the account number that we're talking about is not the general fund, correct?
Correct. It is Fund 207.
Right. So the fact that the chief is coming to us looking for more money doesn't mean that the general fund is empty.
No, not at all.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, on the page 45 of the packet, there's a finance charge, $375.74.
Tammy, will that money, I didn't get a chance to ask you earlier today, will that money come from the fund balance from 207, or where are we planning to get that money from?
I was going to take it from fund balance on 207.
Out of where, I'm sorry?
Out of 207 fund balance.
Okay.
I move that we approve the appropriation to line item 207-000-751-000 in the amount of $33,000 to be taken from the fund balance of line item 207. Correct?
The fund, yeah.
Based on the increase in fuel costs to cover the remaining 6 months of 2022.
Okay, is there support for that?
I'll support that. Palmer?
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Cummings and support by Mr. Palmer to approve as requested. Roll call, please.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
Yes. Motion carried. Sorry, I was waiting for the next person. And I'm always last. Okay, moving on to MEDC Community Storytelling Pilot Grant. Sorry.
All right, your packet contains detailed information regarding the new Community Storytelling Pilot Grant being offered to RRC communities by the MEDC. This pilot will work with 5 selected communities to provide direct marketing and promotion technical assistance with goals of increasing local tourism-focused collaboration and growing local awareness and utilization of the Pure Michigan platform. The application is a form-based application provided by the MEDC due July 22nd. There's no cost or cost share to participate in this program and does not count against any technical assistance allocation from the MEDC. Pursuing grants on behalf of the township requires township board approval.
Okay, is there any discussion or questions?
The CVB utilizes the Pure Michigan platform, and how will that tie together with this program? Or is it two totally separate things?
I think it's 2 totally separate things. Because ours would be for us in particular. And I honestly, what I have given you is all I know on this. This was an economic improvement director item.
Well, I think it calls for like a committee that asks for somebody from the CVB to be on it, according to the information that's there. And it looks like you get higher points if you're both a Main Street community and RRC. So, I mean, obviously we're RRC, but we're not Main Street. So depending on how competitive it is, we might not get it because there's quite a few Main Street communities that have both, I think. But
I do think it would be very beneficial.
doesn't hurt to try.
Absolutely.
No
Worst they can
cost
say
share.
is no, right?
Correct.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the EIC director to pursue the MEDC Community Storytelling Pilot Grant Program.
Support by Cummings.
Okay, there's a motion by Ms. McGuire and support by Mr. Cummings to approve submitting a grant for the storytelling. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, moving on to resolutions. We have resolution number 2022-21, authorizing the sale of township property, which we just discussed earlier.
All right, so I spoke with Lisa in the event that the board had decided to sell the property to Harrisville Harbor. And according to Lisa, if you approve the resolution, you just need in the motion to say that you would like to amend the resolution per board action to sell to Harrisville Harbor.
Okay, based on that, I would make a motion to pass resolution number 2022-21 with the amendment as suggested by the attorney to change, I forgot already what it was supposed to be, change
The cost. Change the cost.
the cost to $750, selling it to the Harrisville Harbor request. Is there support for that?
Support, Sutton?
Okay, so there's a motion by Ms. Richards, support by Mr. Sutton to approve resolution 2022-21 with the amendments as suggested by the attorney. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wishbarth?
No.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
Yes, motion carried. All right, moving on then to, wow, this is awfully quick. Moving on to other, the CPA fee increase. Would that be Josh?
Yep. You'll have in the packet the letter from the CPA. They did accept the payment at the $85 rate as they had spoken before. But with rising costs, Jim would ask that we raise to a rate of $95, which is still 15 under their rate. And if we had any special projects, those would be charged at $110 an hour.
What would be defined as a special project?
Thank you.
Anything besides, I guess, the general bookkeeping. So if we wanted like chart of accounts, which we're doing that with Stevenson, because we're wrapping that up, I'm guessing anything beyond our normal, just reviewing the books.
I guess I'm a little, cautious about that it could be an out of scope.
Right.
Sorry, nothing.
Right, no.
Nothing against certain vendors, but that it could be considered how many things aren't going to fall into that, I guess.
I guess we could word it where they have to notify us before that rate changes.
Yeah.
If they're considering, if we're like thinking it's regular book, helping, or they consider it a special project, I guess.
So maybe anything beyond their regular rate that would be charged would have to come before the board
Before they started working on it, or.
Anybody else have thoughts on that?
Yeah, is there a time frame for this? Is this something that's going to go on in perpetuity with this firm working for the township? Or is this,
I would
originally it
assume,
was
yeah.
to help the clerk and treasurer to get the books in order and a learning process along with that. I think that the firm is being really, reasonable in their fees. They sent us a bill and we countered, after they'd already done the work.
Right.
And we countered and they, agreed to that. I think they're being, reasonable. My thought is that last year, we spent $34,000 on our audit. If this is to help reduce those costs so that we're offsetting, if this is offsetting some potential costs, then I think it's probably worthwhile. I just don't know what time frame you're looking at. Is this a firm we're hiring that's going to be, because the previous board had talked about hiring a financial director at one point, and that was boo-hooed that we didn't want to do that.
Right, I
So
believe
this is kind of the same thing that we're putting in place, somebody to,
Well, isn't
manage
that
our finances.
part of the reason why we're having that special meeting coming up to discuss?
I want to see what the CPA has done and go
Right.
through all the adjustments, and also want to understand the training that's been provided, because that was the main purpose of this.
Correct.
Was to provide training for the treasurer and clerk. I did send a note to Tammy and asked her to forward it to the CPA and some of the things I'm looking for this meeting coming up, our work session. So with that, before I commit, I would really think, I'd like to postpone this until after we have the meeting on the 21st.
Are we not
But
going to
there's-
be utilizing them between now and then
Yeah,
at all,
but-
I guess?
Yes, we are.
So,
And I don't think this is presented in a way that we can approve or disapprove it per se. I mean, other than, because it's under other, so do we have to vote on accepting this?
yeah,
I say, okay.
right. Well, and again, we can approve it in the
Okay.
sense that it's not a contract for
Right.
a set amount of time.
Right.
So it would just set the rate for moving forward until we have that meeting coming up in a couple weeks and have some clarity in regard to that. Because sounds like we still need this firm in the next couple weeks, so we have to.
But don't we have a rate at $85 an hour that they've accepted?
Well, they're indicating that was,
Oh, I've read the letter, yes.
Yeah, the
okay,
rates
well,
change.
then you would then realize that they said that they're not willing to do that anymore,
Right.
so.
So then everything gets dropped that we're working on for 2022.
Which a huge part of it is just the difference in the audit firm itself. We did save money, but a lot of the preparation that was done by the previous audit firm was left to be done by the township this year.
And so the CPA firm has been helping with that?
Yes.
So
So our
Should-
state reporting forms that didn't get done, some of our labor, W-4 taxing purposes.
it should reduce our audit fees, right?
Right, our final billing we received today was just over $11,000 plus the $6,000 before for the audit, and then the incurred charges for the CPA were still under what we spent last year.
So that's half of what we spent last year.
Right.
I mean, yeah, the letter states for the remainder of 2022, we would be willing to offer a rate of $95 an hour for continuing those similar services.
Josh, what was our final audit? You said 11,000 from Grand Rapids?
The audit, the final billing we just received was for 11,000. I just put it in today, so it's not in these
Yeah.
ones, because we just received it, and the other one was 6,000.
So they're right at what they said they would do,
Yeah.
right around 18, I think it was
Yeah,
18.5.
I think they came in
So they're
right
coming
at or a little
under.
under.
And then what have we spent with the CPA so far?
What was our total? I think we were at 14.
I was going to say the audience can't hear if we don't talk in the microphone.
I believe we were at 14.
So we're at 32, so we're really close to what we had with Stevenson, as of right now.
Yeah, and a big portion of what we had Mark on, specifically me, for the beginning of the year was we had things hanging out from previous tax years that were literally just rolling in there. So Mark had some 2015, 16.
What?
There were not taxes, but there were changes that were in our system that we were carrying. Like those AGs last year, when we were done with Stevenson, all of those were put in, but they're supposed to be
Reversed out,
right.
yeah.
And there was no reverse out report, so we were carrying some of those that hadn't been reversed in previous years, so we were getting marked on those same things in previous audits. And that's where when we talked with Stevenson, their recommendation has been to have a CPA who looks over those, because it would save us cost on the actual audit. But this year, there was a lot of going back and making sure all of that was logged correctly where it was supposed to be. So when we go forward now, like when Jamie has an issue on bank recs, it's all popping up in the month, like we are dealing with those instead of it falling off, where before we would have things in there that would just fall off and you'd be off on your bank recs. Because the BSNA only carries those for 6 months. So when you get beyond 6 months of carrying that, it just drops it out of the system and gives you a balance that doesn't balance anymore. So that's why in the beginning of the year, there was just a lot of going through those that had been reported before. So we were prepared in this audit.
Okay, I understand the 6-month thing with the BSNA. I don't understand how we can have something from 2016 and we've closed our tax records.
It's not tax records.
No, it's just general money moves that were off in there.
But the accounts need to be closed. By the time you have the audit, all the adjustments should be done. So I don't understand how we have adjustments that haven't been done in 2016 and it's now 2022. So that'd be something I'll bring up in the work session.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. With that, I'll make a motion to continue with the CPA firm at $95 an hour through the end of this year.
Support Cummings.
Okay, so there's a motion by Mr. Westerbarth, support by Mr. Cummings, to continue with the firm at a rate of $95 an hour for the remainder of the year.
Did you want any special projects above that rate to come for board approval?
I'll amend my motion for that.
Are you still good at supporting that?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wusterbarth?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
Yes, motion carried. We then postpone the Hope Grant, so we don't have that. Moving on then to the second of 2 public comments. This one you do not need, you don't need to have a comment card. You can just free reign, doesn't have to be a topic that was on the agenda tonight. I'm going to start in the middle. So if you would like to make a public comment, raise your hand, please. Okay, if you could come forth to the podium, and then when you come to the podium, I think this is your first time here, so when you come forth to the podium, all right, indicate your name, and then you have 4 minutes, and Jamie will start the timer.
Oh, I don't need 4. I'm Matt Krofcheck with ELS Ag Transport, Cotterman Trucking out of Hale, Michigan. So I believe it was back on the 29th. I might be wrong on that date, but that week we bid on I think it's phase 3, phase 4, I don't remember all the phases, but the latest bid phase of the water main project. It's my understanding that we read low on it when we went and searched for some bid tabs, but I've had very little communication. I was actually hoping you guys were going to vote to award it tonight. It's kind of been my understanding since that you know probably almost nothing about it at the moment. So my concern is it's an expedited timeline, and although I know the contract allows, I think 45, maybe even 60 days to award on that one, I think a 60-day award would probably put it September 1st on a start date. And that's really going to push some completion, as long with the supply chain issues. There's $500,000 worth of pipe to order on it. So I guess just making you guys aware that I really have had almost no communication on it. It's making me a little nervous, and I'm sure if you investigate, you'll probably find more answers than I did. So, anything else?
All right, thank you for bringing that to our attention. And I'm sorry, you said your name is Matt?
Matt Krofcheck?
Could you spell your last name?
Sure. KRAWCZAK.
Okay, thank you very much.
I didn't
Matt.
make it up.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would never pronounce it like that, but okay, thank you. All right. All right, still in the middle section. Anybody else that would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand. No? Okay, moving on to the far, okay, come on up. Clayton?
By now, you ought to know my name, Clayton Jolly. I've been a citizen of this community a third of my life, and I'm 81 years old. I've seen a lot of boards, been involved with a lot of boards. I've even worked for this community as an election officer, helper. A little disappointed in the reaction or response I've had to my concerns about the health and safety of some of the consumers of our township's water. I brought this issue to you over a month ago, and that was the fact that a boil water alarm or issue was made for the consumers of an area on the base of the water. It didn't get to everybody. It was poorly announced, and I asked that the township board look into this and resolve and make corrections to this so that that doesn't happen again. My concern is for the health of these people and the welfare, and if anybody should be concerned about water safety, this community should be, and the leaders in this community should be. When I asked 2 weeks after I made that inquiry, there was almost complete puzzlement on the part of this entire board, and the response was a rather tepid, well, we asked a couple questions. That's not good enough, people. You were elected not just to represent, you're the trustees. People elected you because they trusted you to do all you could for their welfare. You failed them miserably as far as I'm concerned. Do something. Have you done anything? What's your progress on this issue? You're looking at me blank again. You got no answers? The people out there are concerned, the ones that I am representing. I'm not officially representing, but I have a little skill and knowledge in doing that. I was a steward in a steelworkers local for 24 years. I know how to represent people. If you can't do this, I'll keep digging. I'll find somebody that will do something. But I'm leaving it up to you right now. Do something. Get some results, folks. That's all I'm asking for. Be responsible to those you're responsible for. Something can be done. I've already figured out a few items that could be done rather easily, some avenues that you could explore and you haven't. Get at it, folks. Get at it. That's all I got.
Thank you, Clayton. Anybody else in that section?
Can I make a public comment?
In regard to that?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to actually ask Kath. Yeah, I mean, you can do it during board. I mean, are you going to be responding, I guess, to Mr. Jolly?
Yes.
Because we can do that right now. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So if you'd like to respond to Mr. Jolly.
Yes, and I spoke to him before the board meeting a little bit.
Okay.
We have been checking into the automated dialers. Not everybody gives their phone number, and there are various costs associated with that. But we are looking into having the auto dialer put in. So when there's something like that, as long as it doesn't cause too much of a confusion with everyone getting the same call, because we do have that problem too, but we are trying to find a way to fix that.
They
So.
have an association in that area. I'm sure you're aware of that. They have somebody in an office in that association. I'm sure it could give you the phone numbers if they, of that area that's affected, if that's your concern of just reaching them and not upsetting the whole area. I understand that. And my suggestion is you work through them to get the numbers in that area so that those are the only people who are contacted.
Yes, we're definitely looking into that. We are checking into the auto dialer though, just so you know.
Okay, yep. Thank you for that response. Which, again, I understand you're indicating the villages of Oscoda, Clayton, to call, but we have water main breaks throughout the community, so other residents besides people that live in the villages of Oscoda sometimes need to be notified. So we're going to have to look at something that would be good for all the users of the water service. But that could be definitely a good solution in regard to the villages. So, thank you. Okay. All right, so then, moving on then, because we're done then, the other two people didn't have, okay. So then moving on then to board comments. Do we have any board comments this evening?
Yes,
Okay.
I do. Did
All right,
you
I'll
normally
start
with me?
No,
but-
whoever wants to start.
All right, good. I just wanted to let the public know that the next RAB meeting for the Air Force has been scheduled for the 17th of August. So just to put that in your calendars, there's going to be further details coming from the Air Force as the date approaches, but at least it's always going to be that 5 o'clock in the afternoon for the beginning of the RAB meeting itself, and it lasts 2 hours. And I would imagine it would be here, but again, more details to follow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Josh, did you have any?
I don't have it.
No? Or you want me to come back to you in case you have any? No? Okay.
Catching up. Should
All
be
right.
good.
Over here? Do you have anything,
Yeah,
Mr. Palmer?
I neglected to inform the board of the new officers of the Planning Commission. I had a list to bring with me at a previous meeting, and I left it home. But the new officers for the Planning Commission for this coming year, the chairman is Jeff Linderman, the vice chair is Robert Taser, the secretary is Greg Schultz, the EIC representative is Robert Taser, and the ZBA representative is Greg Schultz. Those are our new officers for 2022-23 for the Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, just one, sorry.
And one other comment, Matt's comment about the water main project is, Tammy, is part of the holdup, we're still trying to resolve our funding, the
No.
C2R2 grant, or?
There's currently a bid issue that is being taken care of by Rowe.
Okay.
I just want to inform the public that the Cedar Lake Improvement Board is having a special public meeting this Friday, July 15th at 3 p.m. It'll be held at the Greenbush Township Hall. It has been posted on township property. And the purpose of the meeting is to ask the board to execute a contract to purchase a parcel that I believe is Jones Creek is the name of it. That is one of the major feed bodies for Cedar Lake. So just want to make that known to the public.
Thank you.
Couple things in response to Mr. Jolly. I think that I brought it up at one of the board comments in the past after it happened too. And I think, Tammy, doesn't our website have a notification thing on it that you can put some kind of a little message out there? I think we have something right now for River Road Bridge being closed, correct?
Yes, when that occurred the last time, I did have it on the website.
Yeah, so they'll be able to at least go to the website and find something. Okay. The only other thing I have is Oscoda area schools, even though they're closed right now, their pool is still open with their schedule, and you can find that on their website. Or if not, we have a copy of it at the treasurer's office if you'd like it.
Right, and I guess I just would make a comment. At the last meeting, we talked about the art walk and some installation of some pedestals. At the time that I made the comment, I thought that every one of the pedestals was going to be put in the ground. Apparently, there are some that are not permanently in place. So I did not misinform anybody intentionally. I thought they were all going to be permanently installed. We are looking at some of those locations because they are on township property, and I don't see why they couldn't be installed, but Tammy and I have discussed this last week, and we are looking at this. Because I do have some concerns myself in regard to the fact that we've invested public dollars, and there could very easily be just kind of picked up and stolen. So we are looking into some of those that were not put into place. But I would say the majority, I think there are, when I pulled up, there are 18 pedestals that were put in place. The majority of those are in the ground. There's only a handful that are not. And there seems to be confusion in regard to installation cost. Installation costs that has been quoted by some people were actually for the murals and the banners, not anything to do with the pedestals. So there's some confusion there. But if anybody would like direct answers on that, feel free to call Mr. Dickerson in regard to the actual dollars that were spent on specific things on that art walk. So anyways, that's my comments. And this, I think, will go down in the history books
Quickest meeting ever.
of the, I make a motion that we adjourn at 7:49 PM.
So
Actually,
moved.
it had 7:50, but yeah, 7:49, I'll go with that. All right, thank you all for coming out.